Namaste, my dear students. Welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to see all of your bright, focused faces today. Now, in our previous chapter, we learned all about respiration in living organisms. But today, we are taking a fascinating step forward into Chapter 10 of your science syllabus, Transport of Substances in Animals and Plants. Okay, let's dive right into this because understanding how things move inside a living body is honestly one of the most magical concepts in all of biology. So settle down, get those pens ready, and let's begin.
But hey, before we look at any definitions, I want you to do a little activity with me. Right now, wherever you're sitting, put your right hand firmly against your chest. Go on, do it right now. Can you feel something beating? You do, right? Now ask yourself, what kind of movement is that? It's a rhythmic beating, isn't it? And tell me, does it become slower or faster after you run a really fast race? Faster, exactly. So which of your organs do you think is beating right there inside your chest? Well, if you said the heart, you are absolutely correct, Beta. Your heart plays a massive role in transporting oxygen to all the different parts of your body.
And you know, just like you and me, plants and other organisms also transport substances within their bodies. To master this concept, our explainer today covers 4 sections. 1. Introduction to transportation. 2. Transport and animal kingdom. 3. Human blood and cells. And 4. The 3 blood vessels. My dear students, mastering these 4 topics is your absolute secret to scoring full marks on your upcoming exams. Let's jump into the first one.
Please write this heading at the very top of a fresh page in your notebooks. Section 1. Introduction to Transportation. You see, the process of transporting substances is vital in any living body. Without it, your different organ systems simply cannot work efficiently. But what exactly are we transporting? Well, there are 4 essential substances. First, food. Food has to be transported to all your cells where it gets broken down or oxidized to release energy. Second, oxygen. This is required for that exact oxidation process we just mentioned. Third, water and minerals, which are absolutely essential for the proper functioning of the organism's body. And fourth, waste products. These are generated as a result of life activities, and they urgently need to be removed from the cells and the body. Mark this slide with a star, students. This is a guaranteed short answer question for your exams.
Now that we know exactly what needs to be transported, let's move to our second topic and see how this actually happens across different creatures. Heading number 2, Transport in Animal Kingdom. Let's look at this comparison and see how biology builds from simple to complex life forms. In unicellular animals, those are single-celled organisms like amoeba and paramecium, no special transport system is required at all. Every part of the organism gets nutrients and oxygen directly through a simple process called cell diffusion. Then we have slightly more complex creatures, like the hydra. In hydra, the actual water they live in transports the food and oxygen to all parts of the body, and it also washes the body wastes away from the different organs for excretion. But now think about complex, multicellular organisms, like us. This simple water or diffusion method just isn't enough. We need a specialized system known as the circulatory system. This broad, amazing network consists of the heart, arteries, veins, and capillaries, and it uses blood as the medium to transport all those necessary materials.
Now, I mentioned a very important word just a moment ago when talking about the amoeba: diffusion. Please note this down carefully, Beta. This is a crucial textbook definition. Diffusion is the movement of molecules or gases from a region of higher concentration to that of lower concentration. Write it carefully, word for word. It is the fundamental way that simple cells get what they need to survive.
Excellent work. Now that we understand the animal kingdom at large, let's look a little closer to home. Heading number 3, Human blood and cells. What is really mind-blowing about this slide is this single number, 8%. We know blood is the fluid that flows in our blood vessels, forming the medium that transports nutrients, important gases, water, and waste products inside us. But did you know this incredible fluid constitutes about 8% of your total body weight? Just imagine that. 8% of you is just this constantly moving, hard-working transport fluid.
Now, before we look at the actual cells inside this blood, let me share a wonderful piece of scientific history with you. Because science isn't just a list of facts, it's about the brilliant people who discover them. Let's talk about Karl Landsteiner. He was an Austrian biologist, physician, and immunologist. Between 1900 and 1901, while at the University of Vienna, he was studying why blood transfusions sometimes miraculously saved a patient, but other times caused the patient's death. Through this incredibly vital research, he discovered the major blood groups in humans. This was a monumental milestone in medicine.
And for this life-saving discovery, he received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1930. He is a true inspiration, Beta.
So what exactly is inside this blood that Carl Landsteiner studied so closely? Blood actually consists of several cells floating in a liquid medium. And please note this specific detail, that liquid is a straw-colored fluid called plasma. Floating inside this straw-colored plasma are three main cellular components: red blood cells, or RBCs, white blood cells, or WBCs, and blood platelets. Let's look at each of these very carefully, one by one.
First up, the red blood cells. Look at their shape on the screen. They are flat and disc-like, with a distinct depression right in the center. Now, why are they red? It's because they contain a red pigment called hemoglobin. This pigment is the star of the show, students. Hemoglobin combines with oxygen to form a substance called oxyhemoglobin. I'm going to spell that out for you. oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin. This is exactly what helps in transporting oxygen to all parts of your body. Memorize that term for your exams.
Next, we have the white blood cells, or WBCs. As you can see, these are larger than your RBCs, but they do not have any hemoglobin, so they aren't red. Their main job? Defense. They move actively and protect your body against disease-causing microorganisms by destroying them. They are literally your body's microscopic soldiers. And finally, the blood platelets. Whenever you fall on the playground and get a nasty cut, blood comes out, right? But the bleeding stops after some time. Why does this happen? It's all because of the platelets. They are colorless, irregularly shaped, and much, much smaller than the RBCs, but they immediately rush to the site of the wound to stop the bleeding.
All right, so we have our transport fluid and its cellular soldiers. But how does this fluid travel around? Heading number 4, the 3 blood vessels.
Blood definitely doesn't just slosh around freely in your body. It flows through a very complex system of tubes called blood vessels. There are exactly 3 types of these blood vessels: arteries, veins, and capillaries. Each one has a very specific structural job to do to keep your internal transport system moving perfectly.
Now, this brilliantly illustrates the exact differences between the 2 main vessels. Everyone, pens down and eyes on the board. This comparison table right here is a guaranteed 5-mark question. Let's compare arteries and veins. First, direction. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, while veins carry blood back to the heart. Second, wall thickness. Arteries are thick-walled tubes, whereas veins have much thinner walls. Third, depth and pressure. Arteries are deeply placed under your skin, and the blood inside them moves under high pressure. Veins, however, are superficially placed. You can actually sometimes see them on the back of your hand, and the blood inside does not move under high pressure. Finally, valves. There are no valves inside arteries, but veins have a series of valves present inside them. Why? Because the blood in the veins isn't under pressure. These valves are crucial to prevent the blood from flowing backward away from the heart. Study this table extremely carefully, Beta.
So, we covered the arteries and veins. What about that third type? Capillaries. Capillaries are the absolute thinnest of the blood vessels. They are thin-walled tubes that form a network of extremely tiny blood vessels right between the arteries and the veins, connecting them together. The walls of these capillaries are so incredibly thin that the diffusion of gases and chemical substances takes place very easily right through them, directly into your tissues. So the key takeaway here is, while arteries and veins are the big superhighways, the capillaries are the tiny neighborhood streets where the actual delivery of oxygen and food happens.
So, we've covered the introduction to transport, how animals do it, the magic of our 8% blood, and the complex highway of vessels. I really want you to think about everything we learned today. Next time you run a race and you put your hand on your chest and feel that rhythmic beating, I want you to visualize exactly how your heart is rushing that life-saving oxygen to every single muscle through those arteries, veins, and capillaries. My dear students, science is all about repetition. It's about seeing the magic in the everyday world around you. Please come back and listen to my teachings anytime, again and again, to keep these concepts absolutely fresh in your mind for your exams. Remember the oxyhemoglobin, remember the thick-walled arteries, and remember our friend Carl Landsteiner. Keep studying hard, Beta. Best of luck, and I will see you in our next explainer.
Welcome, my dear students. I am so thrilled to have you all here today. We are going to take this 7th standard science topic of transport and excretion, break it completely down, and make it absolutely unforgettable. By the time we finish this explainer, you are going to be fully equipped to secure 100% marks. We aren't just going to blindly memorize, we're going to understand these concepts so deeply that you won't lose a single half mark. Get those notebooks ready, Beta. Let's dive in. Okay, here is exactly what we're covering today. 1. The human heart and pulse. 2. Inside the four chambers. 3. Plant transport, xylem and phloem. 4. The power of transpiration. And 5. The excretory system. Let's get right to it. Section 1. Human heart and pulse. The beat of life. Long before we had fancy medical machines, ancient doctors just felt a patient's pulse to check their health. So let's do a little virtual practical right now, okay? Take your index and middle fingers and place them on the underside of your opposite wrist, right below the base of the thumb. Now listen to me very carefully, Beta, because this is a classic trop in the exams. Do absolutely not use your thumb to check. Why? Because your thumb literally has its own pulse, and it's going to completely mess up your count. So you just count those throbbing beats for 30 seconds, double that number, and boom, you've got your pulse rate.
So what number are we looking for here? Lock this into your brain for the exam. It's 60 to 80 beats per minute. Now, to hear that rhythmic contraction and relaxation clearly, doctors use a stethoscope. And to measure your actual blood pressure, they use a device called a sphygmomanometer. Yes, it's a big word, and you need to mark it with 5 stars right now. SPHYGMOMANOMETER. Do not lose easy marks because of a silly spelling mistake. Now, nature actually has its own fantastic way of keeping our hearts healthy. Note this down as a guaranteed short note question, the Terminalia arjuna, or just the Arjuna tree. This beauty grows about 60 to 80 feet tall, mostly up in the sub-Himalayan regions of India, like UP, Bihar, and Madhya Pradesh. It thrives in well-manured, humid loam soil and multiplies through its seeds. But the real superstar here is its bark. This bark is used to make a powerful herbal medicine that treats major cardiovascular diseases. We're talking high blood pressure, heart attacks, and even helping to control heart failure. And honestly, this isn't some brand new discovery. It is ancient wisdom. Ever since the Vedic age, Arjuna bark has been an absolute staple in Ayurvedic medicine. It's literally mentioned in legendary ancient texts like the Chakradanta Samhita, the Sushruta Samhita, and the Astang Hridayam. And you definitely want to remember the name Vagabhata. He was the brilliant ancient physician who first promoted using this bark powder to effectively treat heart ailments. Incredible, right?
Moving on to Section 2. Inside the four chambers, the human pump.
I need your absolute 100% focus right now because this carries huge weightage for your exams. Let's trace the amazing biological journey of blood through your heart's 4 chambers. It's like a perfectly designed house. The entire right side deals only with deoxygenated or impure blood. The right auricle collects it from the body and drops it into the right ventricle, which then pumps it straight to the lungs to get oxygen. Then the left side takes over. This side handles the pure, oxygenated blood. The left auricle receives it from the lungs and drops it into the left ventricle. And look closely, the left ventricle has much thicker walls. Why? Because it has to pump that pure blood with enough force to reach the furthest parts of your body through the aorta. Oh, and acting like strict security guards between these chambers are the tricuspid and bicuspid valves. They make absolutely sure blood only flows in one direction with zero mixing. All right, pay attention, because here is the massive trap question examiners just love to throw at you to see if you're awake. Usually, arteries carry pure oxygenated blood, right? And veins carry impure deoxygenated blood. But there is a huge screaming exception. The pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood to the lungs, and the pulmonary vein brings oxygenated blood back to the heart. Put a massive red circle around that in your head, Beta, and do not let them trick you on test day. Okay, let's do a quick rapid-fire mental check right from the textbook to make sure we're absorbing all this. Shout the answers out in your head. Ready? What gas do we need for the oxidation of food? Oxygen. What gets produced as a result of all these life activities? Wastes. What is the actual transport medium carrying food and oxygen around? Blood, exactly. And the specialized transport system doing all this work? The circulatory system. Finally, what are the absolute thinnest blood vessels connecting arteries to veins? Capillaries. Brilliant. If you nailed those, you are right on track for a perfect score.
Section 3, plant transport, xylem and phloem.
So, we've talked about humans, but plants need to move things around too. And whether we're looking at a tiny little herb or a massive tree, the core transport system works exactly the same way. You've got to understand the 2 main pipelines here. First up, the xylem. Think of the xylem as the plant's plumbing. It carries water and minerals from the roots all the way up to the leaves. But once those leaves cook up the food, it needs to be delivered everywhere else. sending that prepared food to all parts of the plant. That process is called translocation. And the special delivery tissues that handle this are the phloem. Here is a super easy memory trick for the exam. Fra sounds like F, right? So phloem is for food. Xylem for water, phloem for food. Simple. But how do we actually prove this pipeline exists? With a super simple jam jar experiment. If you fill a jar 3/4 with water, drop in some red or blue food coloring, and pop a small plant twig in there for 5 days, well, it's like magic. You'll actually start seeing faint colored flecks appearing on the leaves. And if you slice the stem open and look at the cross-section, you'll literally see red or blue colored tubes right in the center. That colored area? That is the xylem, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is the pipeline transporting water upwards.
Section 4. The power of transpiration.
You know, plants are basically always drinking water from their roots, but they're also constantly sweating it out. In biology, we call this process transpiration. This is a 5-star, guaranteed exam definition, so listen closely. Transpiration is the losing of water from the plant in the form of water vapor. Where is all this water escaping from? Mainly through these tiny microscopic openings called stomata, located on the underside of the leaves. The plant actually opens and closes these stomata to perfectly control exactly how much water it lets out. Now, if you open your exam paper and see a 4-mark question asking for the factors affecting transpiration, here are the 4 exact bullet points you need to write down. Number 1, the condition of the air. Warmer air means a higher rate of transpiration. Number 2, moisture. Less moisture, or drier air, equals a higher rate. Number 3, the stomata. More stomata equals higher transpiration. And number 4, leaf size. A larger leaf simply means faster transpiration. Just memorize those 4 points beta, and those 4 marks are safely in your packet. But you might be wondering, why on earth would a plant intentionally want to lose its water? Well, it's incredibly important. First, it allows for the exchange of gases. By opening its stomata to let water out, the plant can suck in carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Second, it gives the plant a cooling effect. Just like when we sweat, that evaporating water cools the surface down and stops the plant from getting damaged by the hot sun. And third, it literally drives transport. It creates a low pressure up top, acting like a giant pulling force that draws fresh water and minerals up from the roots. It works exactly like when you're sipping a cold juice through a straw. We can actually see transpiration happening with one last virtual practical. Take a potted plant, but this time tie a polythene bag tightly around the soil. Then, cover the whole plant with a big glass jar and just leave it undisturbed for a while. Come back later, and you will see all these tiny water droplets clinging to the inside of the glass. Because you completely sealed off the wet soil, that water vapor had to come from somewhere, right? It could only have come from the leaves. It's the perfect, undeniable visual proof of transpiration.
Section 5. The excretory system. Just like how a plant has to manage its transport and water loss, living bodies are basically bustling factories. We've got chemical reactions happening every single second, and naturally, that generates waste products. We have to clear that out. So here is the exact textbook definition you need to lock in. Excretion is the process of removal of wastes from the cells of living organisms. And the incredible setup that handles this vital cleanup operation? That's your excretory system. It's fascinating to see how different creatures in the animal kingdom handle this. Notice the contrast here. The really simple animals like the amoeba, paramecium, or hydra, they don't even bother with a complex system. They literally just push their wastes out through direct diffusion, straight through their cell membranes into the environment. But as we look at slightly more complex creatures, things like earthworms, insects, and leeches, they actually have specialized tubular structures designed specifically to expel their body wastes.
And what about us humans? Our bodies have highly specific pathways to get rid of these chemical wastes. According to your syllabus, there are 2 key methods we need to focus on right now: exhaled air and sweat. Every single time you breathe out, you are actually excreting. You're getting rid of the carbon dioxide formed during respiration. And your skin? It's a massive excretory organ. Those millions of tiny sweat pores are constantly working to push out small quantities of urea, excess salts, and water.
And just like that, my dear students, we have absolutely crushed this syllabus. You've done an incredible job staying focused with me today. Remember, If a simple green leaf and your own beating heart have such flawlessly designed systems, you need to make sure you're fueling your own brain with the absolute best study habits. I highly, highly encourage you to listen to this explainer again and again whenever you need to revise. Seriously, repetition is the ultimate secret key to locking in those 100% marks. Keep studying hard, make yourselves proud, and go completely conquer those science exams.